Shirley here with Sirius Dalek. Jupiter, our moon knight. The ascendant is 20 degrees Leo on Venus. Midheaven conjoining the moon at 16 and 17 degrees Taurus, and Jupiter in the 12th house. It'll be sextile with Ketu, Mercury that is now conjoining Ketu, and the detail of Mercury is fatedly and faithfully coming up, conjoining the Sun and Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. So Ketu, Mercury, and Sun in Virgo. Well, I talked about the importance of sexual sovereignty, and when it comes to communication, which necessitates sexual sovereignty in spirit and in matter, the ability to trust communication is the ability to trust the yes, no, and maybe of everybody that communicates to be respected. That's not something that happened in a mafiosi secret society treason cult. In fact, Hitler betraying Stalin versus JFK preventing a world war is all an act of communication. Mercury reminds us that it rules both cunningness and lies, deception, truthfulness, and trustworthiness. The difference being, as a fellow native with Chiron in Gemini or Mercury sign, another person that had Chiron in Gemini was Habermas. And Habermas tended to that Chiron by curating the discourse and coming up with political philosophy that had to do with linguistics and discourse. There was a word that was coming up today, and an issue of language. I was watching, perhaps a part of me asked, why was I only tending to the charts that I was tending to at the time when I was tending to that? So astrologically speaking, it's very obvious. But another answer that came had to do with the language. While I understand Dutch, there are certain things that I would not be able to understand when the speakers would speak Dutch and not English. And that came about, and the point of language came about. And naturally, I would go to sleep after, having talked about certain things that I know are coming out. Only now, Israeli Prime Minister will be going through 4 sessions of jurisdiction a week. I don't know about the entire Netherlands government. Some of them are heading NATO. But also, when it comes to Habermas and language, it was about being able to hear and take into account each and every part of those who are in the discourse and having representation for each and every part of the discourse. That sounds like utopia, but we have to remember, as Uranus will go over the Chiron Geminis, we do not have anything representative, not just democratic, without discourse. And we do not have any negotiations without trust. Trust can no longer be relied on extortion calls, because right now, for example, when there is a strong desire for a world war, albeit the complete and total lack of suffice weapon, funding, and definitely uh, compliance of all armies. It's civil war clock. That includes the chart of NATO, US, CIA, and it's Saturn Neptune, which correlates with anything Soviet, Chinese, and communist on a worldly scale, including the WEF, including Bilderberg and Berlin. um, so the the thing that is harmed on the level of national and international security, and I talked about sexual sovereignty as imperative for national and international security. The thing that is harmed is language and the ability to rely on language. Language is used, how should I say that? Politicians in general are always scrutinized for being pathological liars. This is a sign of trauma where they are trained by the wealth families, whether banking or other wealth, that consolidate their wealth, even through mind control and occultism. By mind control that is facilitated by the rape and torture of these very politicians in their childhood. And when they have to perpetuate, then even this is how political assassination is executed, even if the person was not a direct victim of that politician. All they need to see is a video that had a telos to its being comprised, and you can listen to the testimony of people like Alandra, people like Annika Lucas, that will tell you how those videos are comprised, and that it would only work on people that had already been that fragmented, and after being that fragmented since conception, cloned or not, while knowing that when presented with a supposed choice, the alternative is to die as a homeless, as a prostitute, as a male prostitute, with no way out, or to and be tortured. You can call that an invalid NDA. And yet the only way to prevent a nuclear holocaust that will not spare the bunkers, and that's the best of cases. People would prefer to go to jail for all the felonies than to spend 70 years in a bunker with the nervous system transmutation of the aftermath of a nuclear holocaust. Within their societies. Okay. And so what is being done right now, there are assassinations of people that people don't hear about. It went all the way to BlackRock, pharmaceutical companies, real estate companies. There's targeting of individuals that people don't see. All goes to sexual sovereignty and the ability to rely on communication, because what we're facing, or what we're going to be facing, is going to be an act of treason, and the Mercury will just separate from trining Uranus and Sedna prior to this act of treason. Volatile response, very likely invocation of, almost certainly invocation of Article 5, not Article 4, and unexpected volatile gas and nuclear reaction, which entail confrontation with the results of the radiation, Saturn the results, Neptune radiation, worldwide, and their effect on sovereignty. So World War II happened with a betrayal. We're going to right now. Mars is on Israel's ascendant. I looked at the news. I will look at it with you again. Um, let's go. Let's go English, because we'll probably not get to. How did I get here? Let's go English Mivzakim. It is so something to do with Leomi Bank. Maybe there are some things right now. A missing person, as 11 years old missing person, was found in the West Wall in Jerusalem, the Wailing Wall. Okay, Marine Academy, we have a mass shooting, but this is US. Brazil, president of Brazil is going to a Saturn cycle in jail for wanting to revolt. This sounds a bit. I'm not tending to that right now, but this would need a reading. Well, yes, assaulting Qatar. Trump still wants to release the kidnapped. I don't know, or says he wants to release the kidnapped. Houthis attacked by the IDF. Here, that's Yemen. NATO are invoking their Article 4, which means a full military operation. And again, there's military operation, there is war. In Hebrew we say is mivtza. Different applications, okay, smaller scale. Then again, one would argue that the Ukraine war should have invoked Article 5 2 and something years ago. It hadn't, and people are even arguing to defund Ukraine. Actually, those people also named Geert Wilders that I named regarding this eclipse, almost Mars return for Geert Wilders. And he says, hey, Europeans don't have money for food. Can we defund Ukraine? And before people laugh, when Mark Rutte was prime minister, he was going to defund NATO. Now doing the opposite, again, representing different economic organizations by approaching, being inspired by Robert Caro with unelected positions. And so, don't he was just inspired by Robert Caro. Somehow ended up being prime minister for 14 years of a democratic monarchy. um, Anyway, it is impossible not to jab Mark. I'm sorry. um, yeah. So somebody murder of Charlie Kirk, assassination probably. Uh, More security around Trump. There's a limited amount of political assassinations they can tend to at a time. But yes, Uranus will go fractions from Trump's ascendant, from another ascendant, midheaven, from another midheaven, um, and Mark Rutte's midheaven that is a bit distant from. It's 2 degrees from all goals, so it's still in orb. Um, and the Venus of Melania Trump. That deacon is busy. And my lot of family. So, um, yeah, I think Security Council is assembling due to Israel assembling in Doha, and um, yes, which probably means they're considering attacking Israel. Um, and since Doha is an oil giant that may or may not be funded by the Rothschild Rockefellers. I don't know about the Medicis. They'll be silent. Medicis be like low key stealth wealth and papacy, and and Milani, and um, so I don't know. They're probably thinking to attack Israel. There's probably a calling to kind of like call Israel into order. But to actually prevent a world war, we'd have to call Israel out of order of the Templars. And so everybody is called out of order. And, but again, I woke up with this. There is no, there's no security issue with Iran right now, opposing the rumors. Um, this is Israel, so let's check it. So let's take a look at the news. Google News or something. Google Israel. Now let's see the contradicting data. A state in the Middle East. Oh, Israel is also being so the entire Security Council condemns Israel. This is kind of like a fraction before military invasion. Um, Egypt threatens Israel. They say if it will happen. Everybody talks about the gates of hell. It's kind of like I think the best threat and the most effective is the gates of heaven. The gates of hell is where it happened. Um, so Israel was considering to eliminate the elite of Hamas in Turkey. Didn't they do that in Qatar? Where's the caption of Mark Rutte with Sinwar? I was at the airport when that happened. Um, doing nothing, drinking coffee. I couldn't afford a flight. And so, um, Prime Minister of Spain, we do not have an A bomb to stop Israel. Israel has an A bomb. They don't need an A bomb to bomb it. Um, I'm in the margins, so I would like a chance to have sushi before that. Um, Netanyahu said that this is a genocide threat on the country. Um, yes. the divine, uh, the divine comedy is a bit tragic. Um, so Spain would want to throw an A-bomb on Israel. It's kind of like, hey, if you're thinking about negotiating for nuclear power, try not to say you would throw that to the United States that's thinking to do that anyway. Um, like, you know, how did I say? Remember when Trump said to Rutte, in Canada, I think we'll protect them. So think about dropping an A-bomb on Israel, and those drop, they think that they'll be like, don't people get that this is a false flag democide for all humanity? Ireland, um, but again, to hold Israel accountable, it's just need invasion to eradicate the Epsteins, which would mean way more complex uh, operations, since the Finders and Epsteins involved something that the United States can't dodge. Ireland informed it will not be in the Eurovision if Israel will be in the Eurovision. Okay. The MK Ultra in the Eurovision, I think, is more important than conversation, uh, um, and the Mossad CIA perhaps only regarding that. Um, okay. So an influencer was shot in the United States in a mass shooting. At least they tell what the mass shooting is about. Here, this is a terror attack. um, okay, that's it. Was a Republican and supporting Israel. Um, yes. So those are the news that I can see from my location. Immediately translated to Hebrew, even though I wrote in English. Um, but in essence, we're talking about, particularly with Mercury conjoining Ketu, remembering the Second World War, we're talking about a treason, and we're talking about somebody says something, does another, and it creates a domino effect of volatility. Um, and for those things to be prevented, the yes, no, and maybe, for politicians to not lie, they need to not be tortured and to not perpetuate torture. Um, and sexual sovereignty on all levels of being um, need to be there. Else, we see the implications of power mounting, and there's no amount of wealth, rank, or intelligence that will keep a person from being expendable. Okay, including myself. I can look at charts and I can tell you what they say, and I can tell you about the implications, and I can tell you how to denucleify. But then eventually, I don't, up until this point, rule the world. And to prevent a nuclear war, neither would one world government or leader uh, uh, be suffice. It has to have the sexual sovereignty on all levels of being, and that being enforced. And whenever that sounds like utopia to people, nuclear holocaust is utopia regarding to the alternative, which is why it's being facilitated. Um, yeah, they're very likely, the attempts to drop A-bombs on the one country that has its midheaven on Procyon would cause an utter total nuclear holocaust. Um, and it definitely will be a reset. Pluto is out of bounds. Um, and yeah, well, that is at least stopping a lot of ritual abuse. Um, there's a world going on underground. We see, okay, the sinkholes. We see all the things regarding that. Um, but this is so. There's no amount of covering that up, which, like, hey, it's kind of like the world is on the verge of a nuclear holocaust. Many people on many ranks and all walks of life would have a lot of questions. None of them would be willing to pay the taxes for the war. And none of them would be willing to do crimes for people that will not prevent their own being sacrificed. It's a global intelligence secret society mafiosi crisis, and people are not recruiting for a treason cult. The only thing that would change it is sexual sovereignty being granted in spirit and in matter, with all that that entails. Definitely those that work underneath gloved hands in spirit and in matter get caught red-handed, and people are aligning to see their businesses, their friendships, the inner working behind uh, targeted individuals on all walks of life. ChatGPT mass psychosis basically mean that people were targeted by a computer technology interface, and this is happening on such a mass scale that it cannot be hidden anymore, and all the targeted individuals along the decades that have been targeted in similar fashion. Now, building on Larry Loudon in the 90s, between innovative science and a consensus, and a scientific consensus, this was my work in academia on the medical field and the body-mind question, and its implication or its juristical implication is on targeted individuals, be it Mark Rutte, Hirschwilders, people that are satanic ritual abuse survivors, scientists, researchers, and countless individuals worldwide that might not even know that they have made a contribution, maybe in the workplace, maybe in academic research, maybe just thinking to themselves, because thought is frequency and it is audible. We can read frequency from Mars and Pluto and listen to gravitational waves. Of course, we can read people's minds. Um, and so sexual sovereignty is imperative in spirit and in matter, as well as the understanding that the rituals of creating mass psychosis, which I predicted with Saturn Neptune, I did not predict the AI part of it, I admit. This is sextile to Uranus and Pluto. But this is the technology. It is my thesis proven in praxis. It is the implications that had me further targeted, that had the people to whose political assassination prevention I tended to, the people that were assassinated, the satanic ritual abuse survivors that were targeted also by these means. They can't talk about everything. They need to bridge the message in a way that people can understand. Friends and colleagues, family, loved ones, people that were trafficked became nameless, faceless. And those people were not only people like me, but also people like Mark. They were going to use CERN, which is basically time loops and the technology that proves Einstein's relativity theory or refines it to time travel and kidnap. Now, if you do it to a main figure, this is something that creates a lot of attention and a gigantic miss, particularly when that person has um, been such a prominent figure with, and so on and so forth, as well as prime minister, as well as now secretary general. But they were going for that since COVID. They tried again, I think, in 2024. Um, and anybody that was tending to that, including myself, attempting to hack nervous system using computer interface. This is, I did not consult ChatGPT, but that's the technology that they use to create mass psychosis. And this is the technology that would prove the attempted kidnap of Mr. Ruta. Um, and yes, people didn't like that I look at that Teflon chart. Um, so all those things are accumulating while we discuss military technology, so people are exposed to sci-fi things and can no longer say conspiracy theory on an active technology that is being openly discussed. I said what I said. Aries 8th house entails sovereignty. NATO has 8th house Aries, and sexual sovereignty is a part of it. It is imperative for this military alliance to maintain sovereignty and sexual sovereignty on all levels, ranks. Um, and and we will not be able to have negotiations or prevent a war or even de-escalate a war without sexual sovereignty in spirit and in matter. No more trafficking, no more consolidation of wealth on children, rituals, indigenous or not, or nuclear holocaust for humanity. Pluto is out of bounds until 2035.